Hey guys, and welcome back to Divine FM. This week, I'm going to be talking about stepping into your power and grounding yourself. Feels good to be here, guys. As most people probably are right now, have been going through a bit of a tumultuous time, at least emotionally. Not so much physically, a lot so. Is that even a saying? A lot? No, it's definitely not a saying. But more so emotionally. Um, it's Mercury retrograde, baby. So it's to be expected. And I'm honestly happy about it because I have shit to talk about. And I appreciate obstacles for what they are because they are opportunities for growth. So, as it is, right? But yeah, this week I wanted to talk about grounding yourself and not just the concept of grounding yourself, but the importance of grounding yourself, especially in times of, like now, Mercury retrograde, or whenever you have some stuff going on in your life that is not necessarily ideal, and you need something to help motivate you, help inspire you to just get back up on your feet and keep going. And I think if we can face life, especially in hard times, from a more grounded perspective, it not only helps us but also helps the people around us understand us better, and all in all we'll just be in a more balanced state. And so these are just a few, I guess, tidbits about grounding yourself that I've been learning throughout my experience of trying to do so myself. But first, let me just start off with my highs and lows. What is my high? I suppose just the fact that I am so deeply happy and grateful to be where I am right now. I haven't been doing very much besides spending time with my family and spending time with friends here and there, and focusing on my job, focusing on my studies, focusing on myself. And I feel really, really, really happy. And I think that's something to be really, really grateful for. And definitely, I think is qualified for a high, because not all the time, especially on day 2 of my period, can I say that I'm so happy and so grateful to be here. I mean, I'm like multiple midols deep, so that's why my cramps aren't that bad right now. But regardless, I, even in pain, am aware of my blessings and just feel so happy to be here. Like, I can't reiterate that enough. So, suppose that's my high. Or maybe the fact that I'm gonna go see Johnny later. I mean, that's exciting. I just saw my friend Nani the other day for the first time in a while, and I really missed her. And I'm just always so happy to be around people who I love and who love me. And yeah, I just feel abundant, and I feel like I'm overflowing with everything good. And it just makes me so happy because then I can give out even more of that, abundance to others, and makes the world go around, filling each other's cup. I guess I could say my low is I don't why is this the second week in a row I haven't really had one? I mean, I guess I could say the fact that I'm on my period, but that shit happens every month, so there's not much I can do. Oh wait, actually, do I want to bring this up yet? Actually, I'm not going to bring it up yet, but I hope you guys know that I'm mean, I think you know, but you probably don't. My seasons of my podcast go by 17 episodes. And so episode 34 is going to be the last episode of season 2. So that means after this episode there's only one more, right? And let's just say look out for episode 34 because I have a few announcements. Very exciting announcements and good announcements. And this is not me saying that there's going to be like a huge break or in between or anything in between seasons 2 and 3. Because there definitely won't be. Maybe a little break, but I'm pretty sure whenever I finished season 1 and went to season 2, I took maybe like a week break. So I expect the same from me because I love doing my podcast. And it is something that I look forward to doing, and I don't see myself wanting to change up my routine anytime soon. But this is me speaking for a future me, so take that with a grain of salt because my mind could always change. But as of right now, you know, I don't see myself having a huge break in between season 2 and season 3. But yeah, I suppose we could just get started. So, grounding yourself. That's a very broad term. I see grounding yourself as going back to the basics and finding out the fundamentals of who you are now in the present and accepting any and all hard truths along with the easy truths about your current state of being and really sitting with that and being able to make decisions about your life, about your work, about, you know, your interpersonal relationships in a more balanced way, i.e., not being so hyperfixated on the small things in life. The things that are, you know, obstacles, the things that are making us feel insecure or making us feel... There's so many things that happen internally that we aren't as aware of until we sit down with them and make friends with them and be able to give yourself that grace to move on with your life and not let those burdens sit with you forever. And I feel like that also has to kind of do with my topic of last week, shadow work. But grounding yourself, I feel like, comes after. Or maybe it comes, like, at the same time. It's just not the concept of shadow work is not what I'm talking about. It's more so, like, once you accept those hard truths about your life, and it's, like, trying to find peace. Trying to find balance. And the process of giving ourselves grace and seeing ourselves as the best version of ourselves right then and there, no matter how we look, no matter how we feel about ourselves, because that's who we are right in the present moment. And if we can't, you know, find peace with that, we'll never be able to, ever. So if we can find a way to do that now, I don't want to say I promise you, but I'm almost positive if we can face ourselves as we are right now in the present moment and really sit with ourselves and be able to find the light at the other side of all that darkness that holds us back from who we really are and who we really want to be, nothing can stop you. Like, that is the one thing that you can hold against yourself as well as other people can hold against you. Like, that's where fear is born. That's where shame is born. You know, insecure is born from the things that we feel hold us back, but it's really self-limiting beliefs for the most part. Or if not self-limiting beliefs, it's things that we have been taught growing up or we have been told about ourselves so many times that we ended up believing them that also hold us back and also skew our image of ourselves and who we truly feel we could be, want to be, am on the inside. So it's not just a quick one and done kind of thing. I think it's something we can go back to every time we're going through something that changes our life. in either positive or negative way, or skews the image of who we thought we were, and maybe we're feeling a little down on ourselves, or we're feeling maybe upset with people around us because they disappointed us, and reflecting on how the dogs are barking, and reflecting on how people have made us feel about ourselves, because as I've reiterated so many times in my podcast, life is a mirror. So if we can really remember that especially whenever people are like, we feel as though are wronging us, it's so much easier to forgive, to move on, and to not take things personally whenever we remember that people are just, treating us, the way that people are treating us is a reflection of how they feel about themselves, It's never personal. And that's coming from me, the girl who has always taken things personally. It was a very, very, very hard truth for me to accept, because I had a lot of deep wounds of insecurity that were being pinched and touched every single time someone did something that I viewed as rejecting me, or making fun of me, or talking down on me, or whatever. There's so many things that could make us feel shitty about ourselves that other people do towards us, but almost always it's never truly something that we're doing to them. It's just how they're viewing us, which is a reflection of themselves. So does that make sense? The whole mirror thing. It was hard for me to really grasp for a while. So that's why I try to keep bringing it up too, because it's a really, really good concept to remember whenever we're, especially having interactions with other people that affect us negatively and change how we view ourselves. It's such a toxic thing to always take what people are telling us, or how people are viewing us, their perceptions of us. And social media too is a huge thing for that toxicity. Is we're seeing other people on social media all the time and comparing ourselves to them. And as much as we'd like to say it doesn't affect us or our self-esteem, it does. And even if we're not judging people, and even if we're not actively thinking in our brains oh, I wish I was doing that, or I'm jealous of them, or whatever, even if we don't think that we're doing that, we are, because we're seeing what other people are doing all the time, and we're subconsciously seeing that we're either not doing that, or we're doing something different, or I can just go on and on. And so I think it's just so important to be able to do that shadow work, to be able to ground yourself in the knowing that you are enough, just as you are. And just because someone else looks like they have more than you, or they look like they're better than you, or they're whatever in comparison to you, that you feel that as though you were less than, being able to remember that we're enough just as we are, we're perfect just as we are, because we are ourselves. Everyone is different on this planet. It's so nice to have that in the back of my head every time I start to talk negatively about myself. So just keep that in mind. I wrote sitting with heavy emotions but giving yourself a time limit as just a little note. And that's something that I've been doing more recently. So whenever I start to ruminate over things that upset me, trigger me, it's really hard to stop. And it can literally affect my whole day and my whole mood, because it's something that I feel as though is a part of me, So being able to give yourself a time limit is, I suppose, a sense of discipline you'll have to develop. But I feel like discipline is something that is more, how do I say, I feel like we receive the benefits of that quicker whenever it comes to doing things for ourselves. You can say discipline is a broad term too, but self-discipline is still the same thing. I'm basically saying, being disciplined in the way of doing things for ourselves and being disciplined in the head, I guess, I feel as though maybe a little bit easier to begin your practice of discipline before, forcing yourself to, go to the gym every day or wake up at a certain time every day or eat a certain way. I'm not saying like, I mean, yes, it's good to take care of yourselves in those ways too, but discipline doesn't have to be something that has a negative connotation towards it. I feel as though it's something that gives us a sense of confidence. At least it does for me, and it makes me feel like I'm taking care of myself well, and since I can take care of myself well, I feel confident that I can take care of other people well as well. well. Take a shot every time I say, actually do not take a shot every time I say well. Hit spliff every time I say well. But yeah, giving yourself a time limit when it comes to thinking about negative things, talking negative about ourselves, beating ourselves up, or even like if we're gossiping or, doing things that can bring negative energy, evil eye towards other people as well. Try to remember to, right when you notice you're doing it, try to stop, because that energy always comes back to us too, because life is a mirror, right? So, yes. Next I wrote setting realistic expectations to protect your peace. I feel like I've talked about this before too. This is actually an affirmation I have on a sticky note in the back of my journal. But every time I read it, it makes me so grateful that I have it, because being able to set realistic expectations is something that would make the overachiever in me feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm like, realistic expectations? What do you mean realistic? Nothing is real. Like, I can go above and beyond, and that's realistic to me, No. Protect the second part, to protect your peace, is a whole nother part of that sentence for a reason, because if anyone else out there are, ADHD, you want to do so many things because you have so many goals and there's so many different art things, creative activities you want to do, and there's so many physical activities you want to do, and there's so many people you want to see, and so many things you want to just, be realistic with yourself when it comes to your goals, when it comes to what you feel as though you can do, and don't set yourself up for failure, because another point in grounding yourself is being able to trust yourself. And if we set too high of expectations for ourselves, all we're going to do is continuously disappoint ourselves and feel like we're a piece of shit for not doing enough, for not being good enough, But that's literally self-sabotage in a nutshell. I'm definitely speaking from experience whenever I say I was a horrible overachiever for years and years and years, because through my schooling age, a lot of my validation and just self-confidence in general came from school and being an overachiever, basically. And whenever I got out of that kind of lifestyle where, although it was like hard to do all that I was doing, it was a very controlled environment, and I didn't have that many expectations from outside sources outside of school. And so, besides like chores or whatever, or like I had a part-time job, but outside of that, I was able to sustain that. But getting out of schooling and, having all of my other things that I'm doing, my endeavors, it's a lot harder to expect myself to be able to, maintain. Okay, so let me just give you an example. Something that I have to be realistic with myself is how many hours a day I can spend studying. Whenever I'm at work, I put my full attention towards my work and towards those expectations of me. And I also have, obviously, expectations of myself whenever it comes to my job, because I want to be a good employee, and I have goals, and I have things that I'm trying to reach towards, I suppose. And so I'm not going to just stop doing that, but I had to be able to set certain standards for myself and expectations that were realistic in order for me to genuinely be able to reach that goal. So at work, whenever I'm not doing my duties that I already have. I'm, studying my plumbing and engineering handbook, or I'm watching videos about, how to take apart a residential sump pump and what are the indicators when it comes to needing to replace one, and how do I replace it and what do I need to replace it. And, there's a whole nother world of knowledge that I'm trying to fill my head with. But if I have a scattered brain and I have so many things that I'm trying to do and I want to do, how could I file away this important information that I need to have for my job, So that was something that really bogged me down for like a while, and it was really, really stressing me out because I wasn't able to find a way for myself to balance what I wanted to do and the goals that I had. I felt like they were unachievable because I didn't have a way to achieve them, basically. I didn't have a roadmap for myself that seemed, doable, basically. And that's what really helped get me to where I am now. I feel like I'm grounded enough to the point where I can see my mistakes, and I'm happy to sit with my mistakes and reflect over them. And as much as it hurts and can bring me down when it comes to realizing that I've, self-implicated these painful experiences for myself, and a lot of the things that, I'm I'm a week late on my period, and I'm honestly disappointed in myself because stress usually is the indicator for if you're not like sexually active or anything, which I'm not, but stress is like a huge indicator for having a late period, and your body constricting itself more and feeling more blocked. And by feeling negative on myself about the fact that I did that to myself, because I feel very proud about the fact that I have a really regular period. I track it every month, so I know when to expect it. I know to take care of myself in that week that I'm going into my period, etc., etc. It's just a form of self-care that I have developed for myself. And so once I realized I was falling off of that, or at least it felt like I was quote-unquote falling off, which, how can you fall off of something that is out of your control, it's not like I could just tell my body, start my period now, you're supposed to be starting now, it's like, that's gonna make it even worse. So instead, what I should have done, and what I will do in the future, is just calmly remember that there's nothing wrong, and that I just need to wait until it comes. And that I have been stressed out this past week, maybe the past month, more stressed out than usual, and it's okay that I haven't been as mindful, but I have still been, active, and I have still been meditating, and I have still been reading and doing things that help me be balanced. As long as I'm doing something to make it better for myself, and I'm actively making good decisions, I can't beat myself up over the fact that I've been so stressed out. Does that make sense? I have always been so stressed out my whole life, and I feel very proud about the fact that I was able to move out of that state of mind, and because I genuinely accepted that being stressed out was a fucking personality trait. Like, I genuinely accepted that was going to be me forever. I would have died probably at 40 from a fucking heart attack if I had continued the way I was going, because I had already given myself not one, not two, 3 seizures from stress. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe that I was just going to continue to go on like that. And even having seizures from stress wasn't even enough for me to sit down and reflect. I had to go through some traumatic ass shit to really sit down with myself. And it's taken months. Like, it has literally been a year now since, I left my ex and I moved out, and I have been through all these different homes, and there were so many stressors in my life that, were making my life really hard. But I, through that, had finally had enough time to sit with myself and, change. And I finally made the decision that I'm not gonna do this shit anymore. And I refuse to be stressed out for my whole life. Like, I am excited to retire. I'm excited, not, okay, I don't say I'm excited to retire like I'm excited to be done working or whatever. Like, I am excited for my whole life. Like, the idea that I'm only 23 and I have a whole life ahead of me brings chills and makes my hair stick up on my arms, and it makes me so happy because I love being alive. Like, I love it. I love my life and I love my family and my friends, and I just am so grateful to be me and to have the opportunity to live the life that I do. Like, I wouldn't do anything. I'm just so eternally grateful. But I look forward to old age because seems like such a peaceful time of your life, and I think the concept of aging and becoming elderly is so beautiful, and I look forward to it, literally. And that's not an easy thing to say, Like, I used to fear the next day, I used to be so anxious and so depressed that I would, be stressed out over having to wake up again and dealing with existing again. And I don't wish that upon anyone. And I know for a fact that there's people out there who are still living like that right now. And that's why I have my podcast. I want to be the one to tell you that it is okay to feel that way. Like, it is not your fault, and it is okay. There's nothing wrong with you. But there's also ways to help yourself that aren't as hard as you would think. And I want to tell you right now that it's fucking worth it to make that choice and to start taking better care of yourself because you fucking deserve it. Like, it makes me want to cry. I just can remember being in such a horrible mindset and being so ungrounded. And I had no way to know how to get myself out of that mess. It took me just going through so many tumultuous events that I didn't even need to go through in order to finally just break down enough to break through, basically. And if I can be like a little bridge for people to not have to break down completely to be able to find the light, I am happily here for you, because that is not a way to live, Life is so fucking beautiful if you allow yourself to see it that way, and if you give yourself the opportunity at least to be nice to yourself. Because also, let me just say this, because it's something that I was telling my mom the other day that I think helped get to her too, is whenever you're talking down on yourself and you're feeling so shitty about yourself and you're being so self-deprecating, please remember that on the inside of your flesh suit, you're still that baby who was, being cradled in your mother's arms. You're still a 4-year-old toddler playing in a ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. You're still that middle schooler who had crippling anxiety and confidence issues and just wanting to be seen and understood and loved. You're still that person, no matter how old you are, no matter what gender you are. Like, you are always going to be that little version of yourself that wished to be that older version of yourself that could protect you and that could accept you and love you exactly as you are, unconditionally. And I think that is just something that changed my perception a lot of how I was talking to myself and how it was affecting me, because a lot of it is self-implicated, but we don't realize it's self-implicated, so it's not your fault. So many things are taught to us from not just a young age, but also from society and societal norms and the people that we're around. There's so many things out of our control that affect how we see ourselves and how we see the world. So you can't hate yourself for the way that you are whenever you had no other way to know you were doing something wrong. But if you're able to see that the thing that you're doing is hurting yourself, being able to make the choice to stop is just as easy as making the choice to continue to do it. You just have to be willing to be uncomfortable, really. How's everyone doing? I know I've been talking for a while, and I try to not sound so preachy. I feel like I might come off that way a little bit. So if I am, I'm sorry. I'm just really passionate about it, I guess. But yeah, something I wanted to note as well is a lot of grounding yourself, or at least in my experience, has been from my understanding that I had a blocked sacral chakra. I am still learning about chakras, but I have been working on trying to unblock my sacral chakra in the act of trying to balance myself further and just find peace, you know, inner peace, outer peace, all the in between. And it's helped tremendously when I've done these few things. So meditating and doing yoga, which is like, I feel like a form of meditation, but you're doing physical things too. I on and off have been like a daily meditator. Is that a word? Or I tried to meditate daily over so many years, but as of recently, I've been really trying to incorporate it into my life more. And it is really crazy how sitting in complete silence, shutting off your mind and just listening to your breath, like what that can do for you is insane. Like every time. Well, okay, there's sometimes that I'm feeling so unbalanced and then I go into a meditation and I don't come out of the meditation like perfectly balanced again. No way. Like there have been a couple of times. Like the other day whenever I was going to dinner with my friend, I had meditated before and I still felt a bit anxious after. But I had some events that had happened like before and after that meditation that I feel as though that energy was what was affecting me. But for the most part, as long as you're being mindful when it comes to, you know, meditating and genuinely trying to do it with the intent to clear your mind and not just kind of distract yourself from what's going on. Because sometimes I'll meditate just to try to get myself back to a balanced state. But sometimes meditating isn't what you need to do. Sometimes you genuinely need to just reflect and talk to yourself, or you need to journal, or you need to sit back and read a book, or, you know. But in the mornings usually, or before bed, or whenever you have a quiet moment and a couple of minutes to, you know that no one's going to be needing you, sitting down and just listening to your breath and doing absolutely nothing else can be really, really beneficial to finding more balance in your, like, mentally. If there's a lot on your mind, just being able to take a step back and take a little break is a wondrous thing to do for yourself. Sometimes my fan just like starts shaking and making really loud noises for some reason, and it kind of freaks me out. I'm like, is it the energy? Like, what's going on? Oh my god, Johnny just texted me. Well, maybe that's what it was. But yeah, next I wrote about, I was just doing a little bit of research whenever it came to balancing your sacral chakras. Oh wait, I didn't even finish. I'm actually dead. I got distracted. Reflection. Oh, I already talked about reflection. Affirmations. Affirmations is something I talk about all the time, and everyone knows already that it's something that is very positive for your state of mind, for just in general reflecting. I need to put my phone on freaking do not disturb because I'm getting so distracted. Johnny, if you're listening to this, it's not because I don't want to listen to you. It's just because I have to prioritize my podcast and then I can prioritize you. But here are some affirmations that help with balancing your sacral chakra. You ready? I trust my feelings and I trust myself. I am safe to express my sexuality and I allow my creativity to flow freely. Those are just 3. But, or maybe another one could be, I embrace my past. Actually, I don't know if that's a good one. I wrote embracing the past and moving forward as like a note, but I don't know if I can just make that into an affirmation. Like, I embrace my past and I allow myself to move forward, I suppose would be a good one too. There we go. See, I can do it on the spot. Yeah, I truly believe that being creative is so positive for, not just your sacral chakra, but just in general, like bringing positive energy into your life. Because I feel like the act of creation is one of the closest things we have to magic, aside from, I suppose, like love. But I feel like the act of creation is also an act of self-love because we're acting on our impulse and our instinct in a positive, fun way. And there's literally no negatives when it comes to creativity. We just continue to fill each other's cup with inspiration and happiness, So, yeah, I love the fact that I guess something also I wanted to note is I deactivated my social media, at least my personal social media, and that is something that has surprisingly helped me so much to the point where I don't think I ever want to go back. At least with my own personal social media, I have really never taken a break from being on Instagram since I was fucking 11 or 12 years old, I'm pretty sure, whenever I bought my first iPod Touch for myself, which is crazy. That's like 10 or 11 years that I have literally never been off of social media. I've always been on social media in one way or another. Like, that's fucking crazy. Does anyone remember what my username was for my very first Instagram? Do you want to guess before I tell you? This is one of the reasons why I know I'm on the spectrum. Is because whenever I was in middle school and elementary school, I was very open about the fact that I had really weird hyperfixations with random ass things. So, like, I remember in 4th grade, I had 2 very weird hyperfixations. One was with timers. I'm being so dead ass when I say that I had a hyperfixation with timers. Like, those timers that just have like 2 buttons. It's like start, stop, and like repeat or whatever the other button does. Like whenever you have a stopwatch and you like want to reset it, I guess. And then I had another hyperfixation with like ancient Egyptian culture. Just in general, I was so obsessed with it. But in 5th grade, my hyperfixation was mustaches. And don't get me wrong, I know mustaches were like somewhat popular like around that time too, I think, because I remember I had a mustache club in 5th grade. I'm so dead ass when I say I had a mustache club. We had an anthem. Like, we went caroling on the Riverwalk, my Girl Scout troop, and my mustache club literally came because they were in the Girl Scout troop. Does anyone who listens to my podcast who was in the mustache club? Because you know who you are. Dude, I can't believe I did that. Anyways, now that you guys had enough time to think, my Instagram handle for my very first Instagram was mustache_love72. LUV. I embrace my past and I allow myself to move forward. Yeah. Fucking crazy shit. So, for the end of the podcast, I wanted to incorporate a short little tarot reading. Not just for myself, but for the whole collective, because I haven't done one in a while, and I'm thinking I want to pull 3 cards And I just wanted to maybe ask and get some guidance on how we're doing now, something that can help us move forward, and then something that we can look forward to, you know? So, first card is, what is something that we need to move on from, maybe? We need to move forward from. Alright, we have Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Next, I'm going to ask, what is something that we have done well for, that we have moved forward from, and that we should give ourselves more credit for? Oh, that came out really quick. Justice in reverse. I feel like it wanted to come out not in reverse, though. So Justice. And last but not least, Spirit, what is something that we can look forward to? Lots of cards want to come out. Okay. What is something that we can look forward to? We just had a card reverse itself in the deck, so if nothing comes out. Okay, so many cards are coming out. So many cards are coming out. Whoa. Okay. 3 cards wanted to come out, so I'm just gonna take it. I'm not sure what this one card is. I believe it's... I'm not sure, honestly. I can't... I feel like it might be... I'm not sure, but we have the Hierophant, the Sun, and then... Let me look at this other card. Because I couldn't tell you what it is. It looks like Cups, but... I don't know. I could be wrong. Oh no, it's Wands. Okay. I'm gonna keep the guidebook here for that. But okay, it was the Ten of Wands. Okay. So, something we need to work on. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So let's get that open. Okay. The Knight represents the ideal mastery of attaining rewards and possessions. You can see the bowl of cereal. Oh, by the way, I have a cat tarot deck, and so the imagery on the card is a cat sitting at the edge of his seat at a kitchen table while someone has, it looks like a bowl of cereal or a bowl of kibble. And it could either them be eating it or possibly them feeding it to them, it looks like, but it's in reverse. Oh, I suppose I'm reading the upright, though. So let me read the reverse. Can't quite get your paws on what you want? If you're unhappy with your lot in life, you can change course, providing you understand that everything won't be sorted out overnight. Reconsider your approach and be prepared to follow through. Okay, that's funny. So... perhaps that's exactly what I've been talking about in this entire fucking podcast. If you're unhappy with your lot in life, you can change course, providing you understand that everything won't be sorted out overnight. Being patient. Reconsider your approach and be prepared to follow through. So, I believe this card is telling us what we need to work on is being prepared to step through a new door or follow through with a new course in life that may not be exactly what we thought we were going to, but it will still take us to where we want to be. But we have to follow through and really trust ourselves. If you're unhappy with your lot in life, you can change course, providing you understand that everything won't be sorted out overnight. So also patience. So let me do the upright as well, because I did have another card that came out in reverse that I felt as though was not supposed to come out in reverse. So let me read you the upright as well. You can see the bowl of cereal. Oh, so it is cereal. You know exactly what you want, but there's hard work ahead to make it yours. Plan. Set realistic goals. Success is yours with patience and persistence. Oh my god, I have fucking chills. The way I literally said setting realistic expectations to protect your peace. So, yeah. The knight represents the ideal mastery of attaining rewards and possessions. You know exactly what you want, but there's hard work ahead to make it yours. Plan. Set realistic goals. Success is yours with patience and persistence. Okay, guys, if you guys have a goal or something that you're working towards that feels very, very soon like you could achieve it, or it seems attainable to achieve, I believe if you give yourself realistic expectations and you set, goals for yourself that you stick to and are disciplined about, there is no way you're not going to reach that goal. 100% you're going to reach that goal, because that's the whole point of living, of existing, is to choose the life that we want and to fucking reach for the stars, So Justice is the card that came out for something that we're doing well, something that we have achieved. And I love that it's the Justice card. It says just because the hand feeds you doesn't mean it doesn't deserve an occasional nip. This card reminds us that actions have consequences and cause is followed by effect. No surprise that this card is associated with cautious, measured Libra. Fairness will prevail, so play by the rules. So I think it's easy to say that you guys have been doing a really good job, as well as myself, at so far being disciplined and remembering that our actions have consequences and really putting our best foot forward and having a good line of sight of what we want and how we want to treat people, how we want to treat ourselves. And life is treating us with the same kind of respect, So we deserve that. I love that the cards of what I can look forward to, what you guys can look forward to. 3 cards when it's to come out, which is amazing work. So we do have the Hierophant, which can be perceived as with negative connotation, I suppose, but only if you see, being able to sit with yourself in those hard truths as a negative thing, which really is not. If anything, it makes us stronger. So I'm going to start with the Hierophant. This card represents conformity, both good and bad. The Hierophant, or the High Priest, is associated with Odin, the one-eyed god of wisdom and prophecy, and his raven companions. The wise elder always follows the rules. Sometimes he even makes them. But what about the rules that are meant to be broken? The counter is meant to be jumped on, the upholstery meant to be clawed. Sometimes it's okay to turn a blind eye. So I think Spirit is telling us that we won't always have to play by those rules that we set ourselves. I believe that life sometimes will give us breaks, and it will show us that we don't always have to be so fucking disciplined in order to get what we want. And as long as we are walking through life, walking into life with good intent, with positive intent, Life's a mirror, guys, so remember that always whenever we're interacting with not only ourselves and our loved ones, but just strangers too, The universe keeps score. Next, we have the sun. The sun provides a backdrop to the cat, on whom it rises and sets. The cat lies on her back in a gesture of perfect optimism, sure that the universe will offer nothing but belly rubs today. Sunflowers represent a world fertile with seeds of joy. This card invokes creativity, possibility, and power. No surprise that it's linked to Leo. Like the lion, you are a radiant creature with great hair. Isn't it Leo season right now? Huh. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Next we have... Oh shit, was it the Ten of Wands? Yes. The fight has been won. The spoils are yours, but you're weary from the battle. Understandably, you're exhausted. But look at all the goodies you've acquired. It may be the home stretch, but it's not time to let your guard down. Don't take on more than your fair share of burden and responsibility. Believe it or not, you have even more treats coming your way, but it'll take a little longer. I have chills. I have actual chills. I am so in love with life. I am so fucking happy that, oh my god, I'm actually gonna cry. I am just so happy. So excited. And I hope you guys are too. Because, shit, if y'all deserve it too. The world is our oyster. The world is our literal oyster. And I'm sorry, but I have to say, I just cut the deck in half and the Five of Pentacles came out. So, I'm just going to read it and then we'll be done with the podcast. The picture painted by the Five of Pentacles is not always a pretty one, although it has its comforts. It reminds us of the potential of emotional hardship of the outside world, the threat of eating out of trash cans, sleeping in cold garages, and the other travails of street cat life. Some interpretations, though, are far cheerier, focusing on the wealth we find in love and companionship. Consider this a firm tap on the shoulder. If you look up, the view will help you clearly assess your values and fears. Avoid hanging on to stuff from the past while avoiding important matters in the present. Take a look at your relationships. They're playing a big part in your circumstances and how you feel about them. I think that's just a perfect, beautiful way to end this podcast. Life will always ebb and flow. Always, always, always. But I think the way that we perceive the things that are happening in our life is what gives us strength to continue, to move on, to give ourselves the grace that we deserve. So I just want to say that I'm proud of you, and I am also thankful that you're here, and I love you, and I'm, again, just really proud that you're here and you're listening to content that will help you evolve as a person and will allow you to live the life of your dreams, because that's all that I could ask for, is to help be that bridge for people who may just need that extra help that I wish I had, you know? So yeah, I'm so blessed and privileged and lucky and so, so very loved and safe, and I hope you guys feel the same way, because you are. You're so loved and you're so protected and blessed and privileged to be who you are, and no matter your life circumstances, you're perfect exactly as you are and as it is. I'll see you next week on Divine FM. Bye, guys.